Hey, what's up everybody, it's Charles and I welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. Yesterday, I wasn't able to watch the Lakers game, but I was able to see some of the highlights between the Lakers and the Charlotte Hornets who played yesterday. People are now running around. Michael Jordan, they still won the game. I saw that MJ was a bit disgusted at the way his team was closing out that game. Anyway, initially, before the game started, I actually thought LeBron was going to play. Why? Because he had missed the game prior, right? LeBron had missed the game prior due to left knee soreness. And I later found out that he missed an additional game. He did not play that game for the same exact reason, that he was having some soreness in his left knee. So that was the first thing. But he wasn't the only star missing in action, because it turned out Anthony Davis also missed that game due to a hand injury that he suffered in his first game back, ironically, against the Brooklyn Nets. Remember, AD had missed a considerable amount of games, and then he came back, and then he injured himself in the first game. I remember missing the beginning of that game, and I left a quick post on the channel. I was like, did AD get injured? I missed it. It was like 5 minutes into the game, and he somehow got injured. However, Russell Westbrook did play the game, right? He did play the game, and he became the first Laker since Kobe Bryant to score 30 points in a half. He had 5 points in the first half, and he scored 30 points in the second half. So he finished the game with 35 points, 4 and 5. But he was very efficient. He shot 52% from the field and 43% from the three-point line. So he had a very efficient game. And he did everything in his power to win that game. Now, although he missed the last three-pointer, the last shot at the end of the game, he did everything he could, but he wasn't the only one. I looked at the box score, and I saw that Carmelo Anthony also chipped in 19 points. And Austin Reeves, I think he came off the bench, and he scored 16 points coming off the bench. But somehow, some way, nevertheless, this team found a way to lose the game. And I had to ask myself a serious question, and it's a question I'm going to pose to the audience as well. Is it time for the Lakers to start considering blowing up this team? And some of you guys, I know at the minute you're going to hear that the dislike buttons or the dislike clicks are going to start coming. What do you mean? Why are you going to do that? Okay, let me just bring out some points for you guys. As we speak, I want you guys to ponder on this for a second. As we speak, the Lakers are currently the 9th seed. Listen to what I just said. The 9th seed in the Western Conference. They're trailing. Think about the teams they're trailing. The Clippers, who are in the 8th seed, who have not had Kawhi Leonard for the entirety of this season. They haven't had their best player. Their best player hasn't played a single game this season. And Paul George has only played 26 of the available 51 games that they've played. Because I've been monitoring the Clippers from afar, not from afar, closely actually. Some people are like, why don't you do Clipper? Because I'm waiting for something substantial to come out. Right now, there's nothing. They're just going from a game-to-game basis, and the Clippers are currently in survival mode. I want to hear what's going to happen after the trade deadline and All-Star break. If Kawhi Leonard and these guys are actually going to come back, then I'm really going to get a good sense of the team. Because if we start making content around them and you start saying, I think they're going to be this, and then these guys don't come back, a lot of what I think the Clippers are going to be able to accomplish this season is based on the health of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Those are their best players. If you don't have their best players, you're going to see what they are, essentially a 500 team without their two best players. So that's what it is with them. And Paul George has essentially missed half of the season. So you have them. And of course, they're also trading the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are at the number 8th seed, being led by a very young team, which is a very young team being led by Karl Anthony Towns, who I'm going to come to a little bit later. So if we started the playoffs today, right, the Lakers would be in the play-in tournament. And going into this season, no one in their right mind would have thought that this team would end up in the play-in tournament. You could have said, okay, listen, I don't think it's going to work. I don't think they're going to be a very good team. I don't think this roster is constructed properly. But I didn't hear anyone say that this team, after 50 games played in the season with only 30-something games left to go, that this team could possibly be in the play-in tournament. No one would have seen that coming into me. I get this sense just by looking at the body language of some of these players, looking at some of the things that people have been saying. I get this sense that some of these guys are not really bothered by all of this. I get this sense that now this season has turned into, I think now some of these Laker players are now focusing on individual accomplishments and going after individual numbers. That's the sense that I get, because I think some of them in their heart believe that this team is just not going to be any good. I just think some of them, I just get that feeling from them. Although Anthony Davis came back in the game against the Brooklyn Nets and they won that game, I just had the feeling that, yeah, they beat up on a team that wasn't very healthy, but I didn't think that I never got the sense that, okay, after I watched him play, like, yeah, the Lakers, I just didn't get that because AD just hasn't been a difference maker for me. And maybe it's something I'm reading into. But I also was one of the people out there that said going into this season, although I picked the Brooklyn Nets to be the favorites to win it all, I had some negative feelings about how I felt as if this team was going to run into some roadblocks, and a lot of it was going to be self-incurred. Self-incurred. They were the ones that were going to pretty much, create their own impediments to their success. And it turned out that was the case, right? Just look at the Brooklyn Nets, Kyrie not playing, AD's, and so many things happening there, right? Just stuff off the court, which made me ask the question, is it time to blow up this team? And some of you watching this video, okay, how are you going to blow up this team? Well, let me give you guys some recommendations here. Personally, if it was left to me, and I know it'd be a very difficult decision, I don't know if Rob Pelinka would have the agency or the green light to make such a decision. Maybe Jeannie Buss would. She's the owner of the Lakers. Obviously, she's the head executive there, so she would be the one to be able to do that. But if it was me, I would consider, get ready for the mic to drop, I would consider trading away Anthony Davis. Yes, I would. Now, Anthony Davis is a top 10 NBA player. One of the issues I'm having with Anthony Davis is that he's always injured. This is one of the problems, right? Remember what was the best ability? His availability. AD in his first year with the Los Angeles Lakers, he played 62 games. The second season, he played 36. This year, of the 51 games that they've played, Anthony Davis has only played 29 games. He's basically, if he misses the next few games, he's probably already missed half of the season, right? I would try to find a way to go through the NBA, comb through the NBA and try to get a more durable player. Now, he is a top 10 player, probably a top 5 talent, if we're being honest. So I'm sure you'd be able to get somebody back from. Maybe you can try to propose a trade to the Minnesota Timberwolves and try to get Karl Anthony Towns. And Karl Anthony Towns is a guy that's quite durable. In his 7 years that he's played in the NBA, I'm not counting the season because it's not over yet, so I can't use it. In his 6 years that he's played in the NBA, he has played more than 70 games. No, he's played more than 82 games 3 times in his 6-year NBA career, and he's played over 70 games 4 times. This year, he's already played 42 games, so he seems to be more durable than Anthony Davis. He's not 100% perfect, and not like as if he's there 100% of the time, but the guy's there, right? And he's shown in his career that this guy, he can play a lot of games. So that's him, and I like the fact that he also seems to play with a lot of passion and fire. I like that about him. So that's him. I'm not done yet, I would also consider trading Russell Westbrook. You saw Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp going back and forth about this on TV, and he's like, some teams want some picks. I would try to move Russell Westbrook if it was me. A guy I would try to make a trade for is to trade Russell Westbrook for somebody that's really not happy where he is, for Damian Lillard. Now, some of you guys say, well, how will that work? Well, it could work. Because the first thing you have to look at is their salaries. Their salaries actually match up nicely together. Russell Westbrook, I think, is making $44 million this year. I think Damian Lillard is somewhere in that ballpark, maybe at $39 million or something like that. And then also Westbrook is slated to earn above $45 million next year. I think Damian Lillard is somewhere in that ballpark. So I think their salaries, they'll be able to find a way to make it match. Maybe throw in a few, add a few throw-ins to that. And I think that they're very similar players, but obviously Damian Lillard is a much more big time money player. I think if the Lakers had a guy like that, especially late in games, he's somebody that can really pull you through because he has a history of doing that. I mean, just look at the guy. He's hit so many big shots throughout the course of his career. And LeBron James is going to retire. I think LeBron is probably going to retire the next, if I'm not mistaken, 1 or 2 years. I didn't look at his contract. I have to go back and look at his contract. So if it was me, I would trade away these two guys because we know that Russell Westbrook is just not really the guy you want after all of the evidence that we have in front of us, although he is very durable. But I would try to swap him out for Damian Lillard. I would definitely try to swap out AD. I know that's a controversial thing to say, but that's what I would do. I would just do it. Because if the Lakers stay as they currently are, I don't see how things are going to get better. And dare I say, I don't even want to say it, but this team could possibly miss the playoffs. And if that happens, it is going to be a disaster. And I'm not going to be one of those people that's going to let LeBron walk off into the sunset and talk about I average this amount of points and I led the league. It's not going to matter. Because we don't give props to players that put up great numbers that lose. So why would we do it now? There's been so many instances when players have put up fantastic numbers and they don't get no props for it. I remember when Kobe Bryant scored, he averaged, 35.5 points that season. The year he scored 81 points, and I think they went out in the first round, right? Nobody was looking to give Kobe Bryant the MVP award. He went out in the first round. Now, he had some great numbers, but nobody's talking about that year that Kobe Bryant had. They're talking about the years that he did well in the play. And if this team misses the playoffs after you're the one that put this team together, it will be a disaster. I don't think that what they have right now is going to work. There are just too many issues with this team. Too many. So something has to change. And this is my recommendation. Some people may think, oh, this is crazy. Well, if you think it's crazy, fine. Leave your recommendation. What do you think this team should do? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamers Pro. Wishing you guys an amazing day and catch you guys on the next episode. Peace.